Hey guys, it's me, Carrie, and I am back with part 3 of the Ask Me Anything Q&A. And I'm so excited that you guys have submitted so many questions and so many awesome questions. I know the remainder of the questions simply because I copied them down onto a piece of paper so I wouldn't have to flip back and forth between my Amazon Fire and looking at the camera. So it's just simplify things. But I haven't given them any thought yet, so I'm still going to be answering very spontaneously. But we're going to finish up with the remaining 4 questions from my lovely Bethy. And then we have 5 questions from the lovely Sharon. So we're going to start with question number 7 from Beth, which is, what current trend do you just not understand? And the very simple answer is, I don't follow trends. Like, really, I don't. So I am not even sure what is trending right now. I'm so like ceaselessly uncool. I never have been cool or hip to things. So I'm not even really sure what is trending right now. But the obsession with TikTok, I guess. I know a lot of people that enjoy watching TikTok, but I don't really get the point of it. Is it just to like promote yourself with crazy videos in a shorter form than like people like me do on YouTube? I don't know what TikTok is really. I've had people send me links to some videos and some have been very funny, but it's like there's this obsession to become like a TikTok celebrity, and I guess that's the trend, like people wanting to be social media famous, like a social media influencer. I that all boggles my mind. Like, I don't do this because I ever expect to become famous. I do it because it's fun. It's an outlet for me. It started out as really a test of my courage and a way to overcome some of my shyness and introversion, and it certainly has helped with that in many, many ways. But I never had any intention or expectation that I was going to get like 1 million subscribers and suddenly people would know me and be like, oh my God, that's Persevering Star. And it seems like there's a really big obsession, especially with like Gen Z, which I just recently heard was a term. I guess that's like the people younger than millennials. I'm not even sure. I'm Generation X. I don't follow anything beyond that. My mother, I think, is a baby boomer. I don't know. I can't keep up with even that kind of terminology. So to be honest, I can't think of specific trends, I guess, other than the obsession with trying to become social media famous and TikTok in general. I've never had an account on there. I don't plan to. I don't get it. But anyway, question number 8. If money, space, etc. wasn't a factor, would you ever consider getting a dog? And without hesitation, yes, 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 yes. I would love to adopt a dog. I would absolutely adopt. I've never owned an animal that was not a rescue. And my P is upside down again, bane of my existence. I love this necklace so much, but the P flips all the time and it makes me crazy. I would love to have a dog, but currently, as many of you guys know, I have 3 cats and they are all senior cats. Venus, my youngest, is going to be 15 in December. I rescued her just before her 12th birthday, so she was already a senior when I got her. And then my other 2, Sydney is 17. He turned 17 in May 1st. My late cat, Spencer, was April. No, Sydney turned 17 on May 1st, and Shamrock, who was technically my brother's cat, but my brother's now deceased, so we've taken over his parentage, turned 18 on Shamrock is May 1st. And these are all approximate dates. I go based on, like, for Shamrock, I go, okay, well, I know roughly when my brother adopted him, and he was a kitten, and when do they typically allow kittens to be adopted out? So the date I picked for him was May 1st. Sydney's Cinco de Mayo, because we call cats moles. I don't know why, but my husband and I were like, come here, you crazy moles. But Sydney is Cinco de Mayo. He's May 5th, because I do know for a fact from the rescue that I got him that he was born in May of 2004. So I don't know the specific date, but I went with May 5th because he just seemed like a party dude. So yeah, I have 18, 17, and almost 15-year-old cats, so nobody else to upset the apple cart at this point in life. But obviously, we don't like to think about these things, but somewhere down the road, when I don't have them in my life anymore, then yes, I would love to have a cat. Excuse me, I would love to have a dog. I would love to have another cat too. Ideally, I would love to have at least one of each. But yeah, I've never had a dog, and I seriously would love to have one. It would be probably a smallish dog though, not like a Chihuahua or something super, super tiny like that, but I don't know. I always thought a pug would be really cool, a dachshund would be really cool, but it's all going to go based on what's available when I go to adopt, because obviously, you know, you can't choose a breed generally when you're adopting. But yes, I would love to have a dog one day. Number 9, what is the best present that you've ever given someone else? That's really hard, because like with my mom, I tend to give her gift cards a lot because she really doesn't need anything. Like me, she's a collector. We did get her a new vacuum cleaner last year, and that was like a combined Mother's Day, birthday gift, and she was really happy with that. But I don't know if that's the best present I've ever given someone else. I know I personally love to receive things that are from the heart, either chosen really specifically with me in mind or homemade gifts. So I don't know. I mean, like just yesterday, I gave a friend a collage that I made her, and she was so touched by it, and her reaction was so priceless and meaningful to me. So I feel like when I make things for people, or when I write them poems, I've written poems for some friends, and they have been so touched by that, and really, it seemed like it meant a great deal to them. So I think when I write things or I create things for people, I can't pinpoint one in particular item, but generally when I do creative endeavors and give people that way, it seems to be the stuff that really touches them in the heart space, and that's always, of course, my intention. I love to receive gifts like that as well. So pretty much anything handmade or hand created, handwritten, hand divined, whatever, and anything in that category. I'm cheating a little bit, but I can't think of one specific thing. All right, and number 10, what book can you read over and over and love it every time? First one that comes to mind, I've mentioned it in the past videos, but it's The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. I read that book probably on average once every 2 months at least, and have since I received my copy of it. Now, let's just put this in perspective. I was a paralegal from 2000 to 2002. It was the only full-time job I've ever had in my life, and I remember loaning my copy to my boss at the time. So I got my copy. I think my late brother's late girlfriend, I think, gave me my original copy, and I loaned it to my boss, and she had it for months. And finally, I was just like, I wanted it back. I'm so like anal retentive. Like, I don't want, you know, any pages folded. I don't want any creases. I don't even want you to break the spine if possible. So if she had not been my boss, I probably wouldn't even loaned her the book, to be honest, because I'm really, really particular about how I like my things kept. But I did loan it to her because she was my boss, and you don't say no to your boss. And we were somewhat friendly, or so I thought. That's a whole other story. She turned out to be a total backstabbing bitch. But I loaned her my copy, and she had it for months, and she never returned it. And finally, I was just like, you know, I'm not going to name her. We'll just use her initial. I was just like, Jay, do you have my copy of The Virgin Suicides? I'd really like to reread it. And she's like, oh my God, I completely forgot I had it. I'll look for it. And then she looked for it and she never found it. So I think she ended up buying me a replacement copy, because I do have a copy now. And luckily it was the same one with the movie art on the cover with Kirsten Dunst. And I just think it was just a pretty image, because I know subsequent copies and previous copies did not have, you know, a tie-in with the film. So I do have a very well-loved copy, but very well-kept copy. It's not my favorite book. I think, as I addressed in the previous video, that my favorite book of all time is still Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger, but it's right up there, and I definitely read The Virgin Suicides more, so that would be the one. So thank you, Sweet Bethy, for all of your, I always say we live in like the MASH 4077 unit, which you guys will get if you remember the show MASH or the movie MASH from back in the day, because there's always so many choppers around. But I hope you heard that. Otherwise, you'll be like, what the fuck is she talking about? You might anyway. But thank you, Bethy, for your wonderful questions. They were great. And she actually said it at the end of the questions that she could have asked like 50, but she was going to stop herself. Girl, anytime you have more, feel free. I love shooting videos like this, so I will do another Q&A any day. No problem. All right, and now we're going to get to Sharon's questions. And Sharon's first question was, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? Top of my list, the place I'd like to visit more than any place else is Australia. I love the accents. I think it would just be a beautiful country to see, just a unique way of life, but at the same time, not completely foreign, even though it would be completely foreign technically. It would be, there wouldn't be a language barrier. I mean, obviously there would be colloquialisms, easy for me to say, that I would not necessarily understand, but I mean, English is their primary language, as here, so that wouldn't be a problem. And I really want to go to Australia Zoo. Steve Irwin was definitely a hero of mine, and I love the whole family, Terry and Bindi and Robert, and to get to go visit that zoo would be amazing. I would love that experience. And plus my friend Ashley lives there, so I would love to go visit her. I think that'd be super, super fun. But yeah, I would love to go to Australia. I'd also really, really, really like to go to Ireland and the Ukraine, just because I have family members from there. But number one is Australia. Okay, number 2 from Sharon. Name a few of your favorite childhood memories. The first one that comes to mind because I've referenced it recently, and I don't remember why. I think it was on Facebook. But growing up, my grandfather lived, my maternal grandparents lived like a block away, so I got to see them all the time, which was awesome. My paternal grandmother died when I was just a few months old, so I don't know that she ever even met me. I mean, if I don't know. I think she knew I existed, but I don't think she ever came to see me or anything, because she and my grandfather were living in Florida and we're in New York, so I never met her. And my grandfather, we saw once every few years. I mean, I would say in the 18 years of my life that he was alive, I probably saw my grandpa Feldman maybe 8 times tops, maybe more than that. I don't think more than 10. But my Aunt Sally, who was technically my grandfather's second wife, but he was only married to her very, very briefly, and they divorced, but remained a couple. They just didn't like the marriage thing, I guess. It didn't work for them. It was weird. I never even knew for the longest that they had been married, but they were still a couple until my grandfather passed when I was 18. But we always called her Aunt Sally. She was a wonderful woman too. We lost touch with her, unfortunately, after Grandpa died, which is really, really sad, and I'm sure she has since passed, but I loved her. She was wonderful. But she and my grandfather maintained separate residences. He lived in Sarasota, Florida. She lived in Bradenton. And then she had this beautiful condo, a two-story condo in a place called Anna Maria Island in Florida, which is right up there with San Francisco as my 2 favorite places I've ever been so far. I've never left the United States. I've been to the Bahamas, but that's technically a U.S. territory, I think. So I've never gone abroad, any place where I need a passport or anything. Never even been to Canada or Mexico before passports were required. But anyway, this one particular trip, we were staying at Aunt Sally's condo, and it was literally like a block from the beach, and there was this really cool pier. And at the end of the pier, it was actually called the Rod and Reel Pier, and at the end of the pier was like this really great little snack bar and like a place to get fishing stuff. Like people fished off the pier, so you could buy bait and you could rent poles, rent rods and reels and all the buckets to put your bait in and whatever, and you could go fishing off the pier, and just the whole vibe of being on that island and in that condo was amazing. But the specific memory is, thank goodness we have a picture of it, because I don't know that I would have remembered it without the picture. But this one particular evening, it was still light out, but so I'm guessing, I don't know, it was probably 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, because it was in the summer. We generally visited during our summer breaks from school. And my brother was 3 years younger than me. I'm guessing by the photograph, because I can picture it in my head. Unfortunately, I don't have it on me right now, or I'd show it to you guys. But I would guess that I was probably about 8, and he would have been about 5. They, I don't know who gave us bread, but either one of my parents or Grandpa or Aunt Sally gave us some bread and said, why don't you guys go outside and feed the seagulls? And we started, feeding a few, just tossing some pieces of bread, and a few birds showed up, and a few more showed up, and then a few more showed up. And eventually we were tossing bread all around the ground, all up into the sky, and there had to be at least 50 seagulls feeding, just surrounding us, like something from the birds, but not in a scary way or an intimidating way, because they weren't, they weren't aggressive. They were just feeding, and they were having fun, and we were having fun, and we could literally just toss a piece of bread up into the air and a bird would catch it instantaneously. And I just remember being in that place with those people. I'm sure all four of them standing by watching us. Somebody obviously was there to take the photograph, and my brother Jeff and I just being so freaking happy, just feeding those birds and feeling like life could not possibly get any better. So that is the main memory that pops into my head first and foremost. I have a lot of other memories associated with that place and that time in my life. But that is the main one. Also, countless memories of going on camping trips. From the time I was like 2 until I was like 12, my family and I would go camping at least 2 or 3 times every summer, just locally to, places in upstate New York, Connecticut, Jersey, Delaware, and no further than that. And we would go generally with a rotating group of friends, my parents' friends that had kids. So there'd be this big group of us. And we would just, so many memories associated with those camping trips. They were really, really fun. And I particularly remember that my dad, because he was just a guy that lived to serve. He loved doing for other people. He was really selfless and really kind and compassionate, and an early riser by nature, which I never really thought about because my husband's like that too, and also loves to cook. My husband loves to cook and my dad loved to cook. But he would get up at the ass crack of dawn, like before the sun was even up. He would always be the first person among the group. And sometimes there would be as many as like 50 of us, between all the different families that would caravan and go on these camping trips together. But he had a little green Coleman propane stove. I mean, I can't show you on camera, but maybe this wide, once again, like half again. It was not large. It was just a portable one. It didn't even like stand up, upright. It just had like little legs, short little legs. But he would set that up and he would literally cook breakfast for every single person in our group. As another person rose, one by one, he would cook them eggs and bacon or eggs and sausage for each and every person. So figure, this man was cooking from before dawn until probably 10 or 11 o'clock for like as many as 50 people, one person at a time on a little Coleman propane stove. But that was my father. It brought him such joy to do for other people. So yeah, that's another awesome memory. And I could go on, but I want to finish these last 3 questions. So number 3 is, what would you do if you won the lottery? I did think about this a little, only insofar as to say it would depend how much I won. If I won like some insane amount, like $100 million or something, that would be different than if I won, say, 1 or 2 million. But assuming it was like a massive lottery, and I've said this to my husband many, many times, every time I watch the TV commercials for things like St. Jude and Save the Manatees, actually they don't do commercials, but I've supported them for many years. Oh my gosh, the Shriners Children's Hospital, ASPCA. I mean, I would donate a bulk to many different charities. I mean, I wouldn't do like a massive one-time donation. I would be like, if you can give $19 a month, I would give $19 a month to at least 5 to 10 different charities, like right off the bat. Like that would make me so insanely happy. I would make sure that I am not in any debt. Neither is my husband. We don't live beyond our means. We have very little, but we require very little, at least at this point while we're still living with my mom. But I would get my mom out of any and all debt that she has. I would make sure that all 3 of us had good, safe, stable, environmentally friendly vehicles to drive, not necessarily brand spanking new. They wouldn't have to be, but some sort of hybrids or electric cars, something that's green and safe and reliable. I'm currently driving a 23-year-old Toyota, so it would be really nice. Anything would really be an upgrade over that. But Cartman, knock on wood, he's still kicking. He's an awesome car. But and I would certainly, my mom has already paid off this house, but she can't afford to stay here much longer, to be perfectly honest. We're going to have to sell the house and relocate. So I would honestly, I would have this house completely leveled and have a new house built on this property for my mother to her specifications, because I know ideally in a perfect world she would love to stay exactly where she is for the rest of her life. So I would definitely do that. And then I would buy a cozy, modest, but comfortable home for Brian and I in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where I know he really wants to move, and we're hoping to move at some point. And also maintain some sort of residence here in New York. I would really like to do that. If I could, like, buy into like a condo in like downtown, like in the Village somewhere, that would be ideal. I think that'd be so fucking fun. I would love to be able to just come back to New York and see my New York people. Maybe even somewhere here on Long Island, although honestly, I don't know. If I stayed on Long Island, I would go to the East End. I would go out to Suffolk County. Here in Nassau, things are getting a little bit too snooty. People have a little bit too much of an attitude, and there's certainly, that's true in parts of Suffolk too. There are parts of Suffolk that are a little bit more rural and laid back, and not necessarily like, oh, so she like the Hamptons. And yeah, even if I had all the money in the world, I would not be about that life. But yeah, those would be the main things. Definitely donate a lot to charity. Put the bulk of it in the bank, because that's just me. Nice, good cars for my husband and my mother and I. Obviously, help my friends as much as I possibly could with any, financial needs that they had, and certainly try to treat them as much as I could. And yeah, and level the house I'm in right now and have a new home built on this property so my mom could stay where she's happiest. So yeah, I like to daydream about that. Number 4, what is your favorite chocolate bar? My favorite chocolate bar is my favorite chocolate is not technically a bar. My favorite chocolate is dark chocolate peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's. If you like Reese's peanut butter cups, trust me, try the Trader Joe's peanut butter cups. In particular, the dark chocolate ones. Even if you don't think you like dark chocolate, I always thought I was a milk chocolate girl, first and foremost. The dark chocolate peanut butter cups at Trader Joe's are to die for. They're so freaking delicious. I absolutely adore them. Like, if I got a tub, I could just eat the entire tub, and the tub is like this big, so I don't buy the big tubs that often. I have to restrain myself. They have like little baggies, like small baggies, like an ounce or maybe less at the register for like $1. I'm better off buying those to pace myself, although it's a better value to buy the container and just not eat them all at once, but I don't always have that willpower. But yeah, that's my favorite chocolate, period. But if I had to choose a bar, honestly, I'm really a pretty simple girl. I'm awfully fond of Hershey's Symphony bars, the ones that come with the almonds and the toffee bits in them. I really like those a lot. That's a milk chocolate bar. I don't think they even make them in like standard bar size. I think they only make them like the jumbo, like the movie theater like size, the bigger ones. But they're really, really good. And anything Cadbury, honestly. Well, not anything Cadbury. I've had a few that I haven't liked. British Cadbury, very important. American Cadbury is totally different, as I recently discovered. Yeah. Oh, the Cadbury Fruit and Nut, that's really good. But my favorite chocolate in life itself is the peanut butter cups from the dark chocolate peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's. Seriously, trust me, try them. They will change your life if you're a peanut butter cup fan. And last but not least, not only for Sharon's wonderful questions, but for all of the questions for this go around, do all 3 of your cats get along, and who is the dominant one of the 3? The first question, no, they do not. They don't fight. They're not constantly at each other's throats, but there was a period where our oldest Shamrock and our youngest Venus, who is our only female, fought quite a bit, and it was actually Venus that was the aggressor. Venus is a little bit hard of hearing, And we didn't know that till we got her. We also didn't know she had one fang and no other teeth until we got her. And I worked with her at the rescue where I got her for 2 years. So go figure. I didn't know that till I got her paperwork and got her home and actually looked in her mouth one day when she was eating. I was like, holy crap, she only has one tooth. She's got like this one little fang on her right side, and it's just the cutest thing ever. But yeah, she has no teeth. And it doesn't say in her medical records, I don't think, that she's got a hearing loss, but I believe that she does. There are certain things that I really genuinely don't think she hears. So when she first came home, like I said, it was just before her 12th birthday. She's going to be 15, so we've had her, what, going on 3 years? Yeah, going on 3 years. She would like try to play with Shamrock, but she would play a little aggressively for, I mean, the fact that she was almost 12 and wanted to play with that much energy was awesome, but Shamrock plays on his own terms. Like, Shamrock likes to play laser pointer with mommy by himself. He doesn't like to share toys. He doesn't like to be chased or approached. And initially you would think that his reaction to her, he did go after her once, like, he howled and he kind of chased her, and you'd think she would have gotten the point, but she didn't, because I don't think she heard his howl. I don't think she got the hissing that he did and picked up on the shackles being up, because she had lived in a rescue for 2 years around all kinds of animals, some that were probably friendlier than others, some that were more approachable than others, and who the hell knows what her life was like before that. But the paperwork at the rescue said that she and her daddy cat, her biological daddy cat, who sadly passed away in the rescue, I adored him, and I promised him before he died that I was gonna, when he went, I was taking Venus home and I was gonna be her mommy, because I just couldn't handle 4 cats. So it was once he passed that I was able to take her home. But she just wasn't socialized properly, and unfortunately, because of the hearing loss, she was not picking up on the social cues that she should have, that Shamrock was giving her very clearly, that said, back off, I'm not in the mood to play with you. So to this day, she can still be occasionally a little bit, and aggressive isn't the right word, effusive. Like, she's very energetic with him, and he doesn't like it. He really doesn't. I mean, he's 18. He just wants to be left alone, to lie around and do what he wants and not be chased by her or approached by her in any kind of a sneaky way. And she's playful, she'll see him and she'll creep up and jump sometimes, and it really upsets him, to the point where he has a closet upstairs that he'll go hide in. And it makes me so sad, because he was much more outgoing, and he still is to a very large degree. Like, when he's down here on the main floor with my mom and I, and even my husband, and Venus is upstairs, like, he'll still come on the couch and snuggle up with us and stuff. But like, he used to come snuggle up with me in bed. He won't even come in our bedroom anymore, because from day 1, actually day 2, day 1, Venus slept on my mom in my mom's room. But since day 2 on, she has slept in our bed with Brian and I every single night, on top of physically one of our bodies, almost at every point throughout the night. Like, I will roll over and somehow she will reposition herself, that I fall asleep with her on me and I wake up with her on me, unless she's out of bed already, because Brian's gotten up and given her first feed and she hasn't come back to nap more with me, but she generally does. So the second half, who is the dominant one, definitely Venus. And I don't know if it's because she's the only girl, or the youngest, or the least socialized, because both Sydney and Shamrock came into our lives. Shamrock was literally a kitten. He was like 12, 14 weeks old, I would imagine. Whatever the appropriate age is to separate a cat from its mom, and you'd think I'd know this after 4 years in animal rescue, but whatever the appropriate age is, actually I feel like he might have gotten pulled from his mom a little sooner than he should have in retrospect, but I didn't know that at the time. And then Sydney we got at around 7 months. So, I mean, we had them essentially since they were kittens, since they were really young cats, as opposed to Venus, who, for 12 years, 10 years was a complete mystery to me. And then the 2 years of knowing her in the rescue and the situation there, which is very different than here. So nobody's really aggressive or anything, but she's definitely the most dominant of the trio, and Sydney's just kind of like, whatever, I'm just gonna do my thing, and I give no fucks. So So that's the answer to that question. So thank you again so much to Haley and to Loretta and to Beth and to Sharon for the wonderful questions. I would be thrilled to do another one of these. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to post them in the comment section of any video. Maybe just write Q&A before it so I can just keep a list in my notebook of the questions and write your names down so that in the future I can obviously answer them and credit you, give you a little shout out. But I love doing these videos. I think they're so much fun to do. I think they're so much fun to watch when other people do them. So I'm really, really, really glad that you guys submitted so many great questions. I really appreciate it. And those of you who didn't, if you're shy, please don't be. Like, I was the shyest person on the planet for like most of my life, for like the first 30 years probably of my life, certainly the first 25 or so. I mean, I was just, I didn't say much of anything. So I always say to people that I'm making up for lost time now, and I never shut up. But don't be shy. It's okay. There's no wrong questions. There's no, I mean, I can't possibly conjure a question that I would deem inappropriate to answer. I mean, you guys all have common sense, but I would love to hear from more of you guys in the future. And, some of you guys that I know watch my videos and didn't ask anything, feel free to in the future. I know you know a lot about me already, but I would love to hear from more of you. But I'm really grateful, fucking with my P again, to those of you who did submit questions. They were great questions and I really enjoyed this. So thank you so much. I hope it was fun for you, and I will be back soon with more stuff. Bye guys.